This is Leah Steele. Welcome to the Wealth Witch podcast. Just a few years ago, I experienced complete financial collapse. We lost a business, our home, and a car. My husband was selling plasma to pay for diapers and formula. I was living a life I hated, and I was miserable. It was the lowest part of my life. It ended up being my biggest blessing. Just a few short years later, I've designed the life of my dreams. I live a life of luxury in beautiful Bali, Indonesia, travel the world, and spend my days helping others manifest wealth and abundance. Living a purpose-led life changed everything for me. This podcast is about my journey, my top tips and tools for manifestation, and interviews with all the amazing, world-changing, inspiring people I meet along the way. Welcome to my world. Hello. I'm so excited to be here today to share a couple of my tools for rapid manifestation and for shifting things really, really quickly in my life. But first, I want to talk to you about a concept that I love sharing with people, that they generally are like quite surprised by this, and they're quite surprised with how easily they're able to come up with this and how quickly their life changes once they do. So this is actually what I call the safety, stability, and security number. So I want you to take a deep breath right now. Close your eyes wherever you are. Unless you're driving. If you're driving, don't close your eyes. You can come back to this and do it later. But if you're at home or you're at work or you're somewhere where you're not a danger on the road to yourself or others, close your eyes. Take a deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth, and maybe just two more. Slowly in through the nose, out through the mouth, and one more. And I want you to ask yourself, what is the number? What is the amount of money that you need to have every single month in your bank account to make you feel safe, stable, and secure? Don't overthink this. Whatever the first number is that comes to you, if you are truly checking in with yourself and you're taking those deep breaths and you're going inside to soul and you're asking soul, what is the number? That is your safety, stability, and security number. This is the number that you need to set your central nervous system at ease. My number one recommendation to my clients when they come to work with me is get to this number as quickly as possible. Do whatever it is that you have to do to get yourself to a place where you are feeling safe, stable, and secure every single month. It is almost impossible to manifest from a place where you don't feel safe, stable, and secure. So what happens when you are not in this place, when you're operating completely from lack and scarcity mindset, is that you're living in your midbrain. You're living in fight, flight, freeze, right? And it's so difficult to manifest from that place. You can. It is possible, but it's very difficult. So for me, getting to this place, identifying this number and getting to this place is your number one job. It's your number one job in creating the life that you deeply desire, because having that stability, having that safety, and having that feeling of security where you know all your bills are paid, right? Everything's taken care of that needs to be taken care of. You're not going to be homeless. You're not going to lose your car. You're going to be able to feed your children. You're going to be able to feed yourself. You're going to have clothes on your back and shelter and food, right? When those basic necessities and needs are met, it's so much easier to manifest from that place. So obviously, I have a lot of people that come to work with me that aren't in that place. They haven't reached their safety, stability, and security number yet. And so my advice is, before you try to manifest anything huge, get yourself to that number and do whatever it takes. So I work with a lot of people who are desiring to start spiritually based businesses. And some of them are trying to transition out of the corporate world. Some of them have already left their corporate jobs or left regular 9-to-5 jobs. And this is a place that they really struggle, because when you're trying to create your own income, when you're trying to be an entrepreneur, this can be really, really difficult, right? The ebbs and flows of money, and it not being consistent, and it not being stable, and it not being secure. So this is where I tell my clients, it doesn't matter. If you have to get a part-time job to get to the safe, stable, secure place, do that. If you need to babysit a couple hours a week, whatever it is, right? Open up a new stream of revenue, take a part-time job, get a paper route. I don't know, whatever it is, get yourself to this number. Because when you get yourself to this number and you can consistently stay at this number month after month after month after month, your parasympathetic nervous system has the ability to calm the fuck down, right? And then it's much easier to manifest. So ask yourself what your safe, stable, and secure number is, and then get yourself there by all means necessary. If you have to rob a bank, go rob a bank. Okay, just kidding. Really, don't rob a bank. Don't rob a bank. I didn't say to rob a bank. Don't go rob a bank and then be like, the wealth witch told me to rob a bank. That was how I was going to get to my safe, stable, and secure number. It's not what I'm saying. Don't rob a bank. Okay, so get yourself to that number, though. It is life-changing. It is life-changing being at a place where you just know where the money's coming from. And this is hard for a lot of entrepreneurs to hear, especially when they just want to go all in, they just want to go full bore and, go all in on purpose, and they want to just make it jump right out the gate. Some can, others can't. This to me is the most important thing. This for me is always my focus, right? What is the number that's going to make me feel safe, stable, and secure? And as long as I know I've got that coming in, then I'm good. So for me, this is my monthly recurring revenue number. So anything over that is gravy, but it's this is where all the money that I have coming into my business on a monthly recurring revenue basis, that's my safe, stable, secure number. That's where that money comes from. And so I do everything I can to make sure that that monthly recurring revenue number is where I need it to be. And then anything that I make on top of that's gravy, right? But I need that number to feel safe, to feel stable, to feel secure. And once I have that, it's as soon as I hit that number every month, I make tons more money because I'm safe, I'm stable, I'm secure. I don't have to worry about it, right? It's the rest is just fun. Then manifestation gets to be fun. Then manifestation gets to be light. It's so much easier that way. So don't feel badly about yourself if you have to get a part-time job for a little while, or if you have to take an extra job, or you have to, do an MLM for a little bit, or you have to get a paper route, or, whatever the case may be, whatever you need to do to get yourself to that place, you shouldn't be ashamed of that, and you shouldn't feel bad about that. And here's the thing, you're not going to be there forever. And I talk a lot about not settling. And so obviously if you can find something that's that secondary source of income, or, that's getting you to that place that's soul and purpose aligned, do that first, right? But at the end of the day, it's so much easier to lean further into purpose. It's so much easier to feel passionate about our purpose work. It's so much easier to have the energy to, stay up burning the candle at both ends all evening on purpose work when you're not worried about having your electricity shut off the next day, or you're not worried about losing your house. You're not worried about losing your car. So there are obviously pros and cons to doing it all different types of ways, but I have found with my clients, when they'll focus on this first before they start trying to manifest bigger things, and they just consistently keep themselves at this number, real magic begins to occur in what they actually have the ability to manifest on top of that, right? Okay, so that's the first thing. I want to talk about being a good steward of your money. This is something that comes up a lot in my group programs and in my online masterminds that I do. Being a good steward of your money. So what does that mean, right? Well, stewardship. It means being a good custodian of your money, and of the money that is coming into your sphere of influence, of the money that you're getting paid, of the money that's showing up in your life, of the money that you're manifesting. Being a good custodian and being a good steward of that money. So I'll give you some examples of that, and I'll give you some examples of how I believe you can be a good steward of your money, and get the best response from the universe, the most support from the universe in response to being a good custodian of your money. So the first thing is to look at clearing up your bandwidth. So I talk about this concept of clearing up bandwidth a lot. And I believe that at any given time, we have a finite amount of bandwidth. And so that is like all the thoughts, all the emotions, all the feelings, all of the energetic bandwidth that exists in our field of influence. And it's like our brain power, right? It's like what we have the ability to comprehend, what we have the ability to hold on to, what we have the ability to compute, what we have the ability to execute upon or retain. And so I believe at any given time it's finite. I do believe that it can expand, but I don't believe it can expand from a maxed out place. So one of the first ways that you can be a good steward or good custodian of your money is by clearing up your bandwidth around money. So for me, bandwidth is that energetic frequency, our ability to hold on to and retain information. It's that program that's always constantly running in the background. And so I believe that at any given time, we have a finite amount of bandwidth. We have a finite amount of space that can hold on to, retain, that we have, like, we can only hold on to so much, right? So when we're constantly running certain patterns, or we're holding on to stuff that's trivial, or we're filling up bandwidth with things that we don't really need to be thinking about, then we're taking up energy that could be used for manifestation or creation. So an example of this is lingering things. So this could be like past due bills, little past due bills. So say you have a medical bill that's like $150 and it's past due and you haven't paid it. And it's there running in the back of your bandwidth that you have this past due bill that you haven't paid, right? And then maybe you're late on your credit card payment and you're worried about the late payment the late fee that's going to be added on top of the credit card payment. And that money's not going towards the interest. And so that's taking up more bandwidth and that's running in the background. And then maybe you're thinking about the overdraft fees that are happening in your bank account and, how that's just a waste of money and that's taking up bandwidth. So for me, one of the best ways that we can show the universe that we're going to be good custodians of our money is to clear up our bandwidth. And that starts with clearing up these lingering things. So a couple of ways that I do this that create sort of instant results for me every time I do them is, one, I'll go through my bank statements. So I'll print out 90 days of bank statements, and I will literally go through those bank statements line item by line item. And as I'm going through the bank statements, I'm going to highlight anything that's an auto pay. And I don't think much of it. I just sort of go through the 90 days and highlight all the auto pays. Then I come back and I look at each and every auto pay. And I'm like, okay, do I really need this? Is this something that I'm using? Without fail, I do this about 3 or 4 times a year. Every single time I do this, I find stuff that I'm paying for that I didn't realize I was paying for, that I'm not using, or that I'm not using anymore. And so it's identifying those things, canceling those subscriptions, and cleaning up money leaks in that way. The other thing that you identify as you're going through your bank statements is stuff that you don't know what the hell it is. So if you're paying for something and you don't know what it is, you better get clear on what it is. This is another thing I find. I often find, going back through my bank statements, I've been double charged somewhere, or there's something on there that I don't know what it was. And sometimes it's an error, or sometimes, again, it's something that's like, I don't even know what it is. And it's some kind of auto pay that's been set up, or that I've, opted into something, and I get rid of it. So those are some ways that you can clear up lingering things. Bank statement thing, I always get immediate results from that. I literally, every time I do this, money comes into me because I'm showing the universe that I'm a good custodian of my money. I know what's coming into my account and I know what's going out of my account. So the other thing is debt. So let's talk about debt for a minute. I know all about debt. I know all about debt. When my business imploded, we were left with almost $1 million in business debt that we still have a substantial amount of to pay off. And debt is one of those things that we attribute a negative emotional feeling or connotation to. And that doesn't serve us, by the way. So for me, we have to change the way that we look at debt and we have to change the way that we think about debt. And that's a whole podcast episode on its own. So I definitely will come back and do something a little more detailed on debt. But here's the thing with debt, especially when it's a lingering thing that's taking up bandwidth. Even if you can't afford to pay the debt, creating a plan of how you're going to pay the debt off is showing the universe that you're a good custodian of your money. And allotting a certain amount of your incoming money to go towards paying off debt is another huge way that you can show the universe that you're a good custodian of your money. So you make a plan and then you execute on it, no matter how small. And for me, I love the snowball method. You choose the smallest debt and you pay it off first, right? For me, it's always pay off the smallest debts, especially if they're lingering things, especially if they're taking up bandwidth, especially if they're things like little medical bills or little past due things that you need to take care of. It's like focus your extra money, even if it's only a little bit of extra money, towards paying off those things. And then as soon as that's paid off, take the money that you were paying towards that and put it towards the next bill, right? It's all a mindset. It's literally all a mindset. And we can run and we can hide from debt and we can bury our head in the sand and we can be afraid to look at it and we can be afraid to deal with it. And I've definitely been there and I understand what that feels like and I know it can be so overwhelming. Or you can create a plan and then begin to slowly execute on it. And just because you can't pay it all off at once, I mean, a lot of times it's like we want to put together a lump sum and then pay it off. And it just doesn't always work that way. So create a small manageable plan and then begin to pay it off. I promise you that if you begin to take small actions in your life that shows the universe that you're a good custodian of your money and you're a good steward of your money, the universe will reward you with more money. But it wants to know that you can handle the money that you have. It wants to know that you're going to be responsible. It wants to know that you're going to take care of what you're given, and most importantly, take care of yourself, that you're going to make sure that you're safe, stable, secure, right? And then you're going to keep your financial commitments, and then you're going to handle your debts. So it's a road, right? It's a road and it's a process to getting to the place where you feel that you're fully a good steward of your money. Like, I'm definitely not there. This is a work in progress for me. We still have a fuck ton of debt to pay off from our imploded business, but I have a plan and we're paying off the smaller debts and we're getting there, right? And we will get there. And you can too. And it doesn't have to be super overwhelming. You can create a manageable debt plan for yourself that will make you feel so good once you've got it in place. And I promise you that when you create the plan and you start executing on it, the money's going to be there to pay the bills, right? Like, when you actually back yourself fully, when you actually show the universe that not only are you committing to something, but that you're following through with your commitment 1,000,000%, the universe will show up to support you. Well, one of the things that I love, which is just another hack, and I feel like it's being a good steward of my money, because it's giving back to the world, and is this idea of giving. And I know this is really hard for people, especially when money or finances is tight. But one of the things that I have found that the universe rewards so greatly, and you shouldn't do this so that you can get the reward from the universe, by the way, you should do it because it's just the right thing to do. But when you give, when you give to causes that you care about, when it's just like the religious organizations and churches had it right with the tithing in some aspects, right? Where it's like the tithing, the 10% of your income, when you give, you have the ability to receive. So the principle of giving is that the more I give, the more I receive, right? The more I receive, the more I give, the more I receive, the more I give. And so for me, like my family does 10 to 15% of all incoming money goes to charity, goes out to helping causes that we care about in the world. This is another way, another hack to show the universe that one, you're a good custodian of your money, and to have the universe come in and support you in your quest for creating the life that you deeply desire and creating wealth and prosperity and abundance. That's a wrap. Thank you for joining me. Remember, wealth is a mindset, and you absolutely deserve to live the life you deeply desire. And with belief and intention, you create your reality. Until next time, this is Leah Steele, the Wealth Witch.